This patient was referred to me for endodontic retreatment of teeth number 14 and 15. According to the patient, these root canals were done by her dentist or previous dentist 4 to 6 years ago. One was done 4 years ago, the other one was done 6 years ago, and recently she started to have symptoms. Went and saw her dentist and was told that the root canals had failed and they needed to be redone. She has dental anxiety, dental phobia, so she was referred to us for IV sedation and retreatment of both teeth together at the same time, of course. So when I examined the tooth, they were tender to percussion and palpation. Looks like perio here and here. Looks like perhaps maybe food pockets here and here that caused perio. You can see bone loss here and bone loss here. It looks like perhaps some recurrent decay under the porcelain crown of tooth number 14. That's an air bubble in the buildup of the tooth. When the dentist built the tooth up, there's a looks like a air bubble there. These darn things were plastic thermofill obturators. I was kind of hoping that they would be because of this. As you can see, this obturator actually extended beyond the working length of the DB canal of tooth number 15 and went up and very likely, as you can see right here, perforated right into the maxillary sinus. So I was hoping that this would be a thermofill, so I can hopefully just pull it out of the canal and therefore remove it in whole completely and hopefully allow this perforation to heal on its own. And but I was at the same time dreading removing these. If they were all plastic thermofill carriers, I was dreading removing them because I could tell that these canals were underprepped. And when you underprep these underprepped canals and then you use plastic thermofill carriers, what you do is as you're placing them into the canals, you strip the gutta percha off of them. You strip the gutta percha off of them as you insert them into the canals, as they go into the canals. So there is no gutta percha around these carriers. And when there's no gutta percha around the carriers, then removing them is difficult because now I have no space. Usually what I do is I can go through the gutta percha with some chloroform and hand files, so I create some space for myself. Then I go in and use edge files and pull these plastic carriers right out of the canals. But when there's no space around them because gutta percha was stripped off of them as they were being inserted into the canals, now I'm dealing with hard plastic that doesn't give. So and of course the canals are under prep, so there is no space between the canal walls and the plastic carriers for me to be able to insert a edge file into the canal between the canal wall and the thermofill to be able to remove it. And that was the case here. These were extremely difficult to remove, very challenging to remove. It took me a long time to remove them. And of course, on top of that, let me show you a different angulation of these teeth. By the way, you can see a missed MB2 right there associated with tooth number 15. You can see periapical lucency here and here. As I said, sinus, maxillary sinus. Perforation right there. Here and here, these were fiber posts, and removing them was another challenge to remove these fiber posts, and I was able to remove these fiber posts. I was able to remove them. In this angulation of tooth number 14, take a look right here. Right there. That's almost near perforation of the MB1 canal of tooth number 14. This was a fiber post. What? The dentist had put a fiber post this long. It was, I don't know why. Anyways, and when he was placing the fiber post, he wasn't even placing the fiber post into the canal. He created its own canal and almost perforated to the outside. As you can see, look how thinned out the MB1 wall of tooth number 14 is towards the center of the tooth. So there was a fiber post in the palatal canal, and there was also a fiber post in the MB1 canal that was completely off center and near perforation here. Look at tooth number 15 now. The dentist had troughed tooth number 15 along the mesial walls, so much so trying to locate the MB2, and that has caused the mesial wall of tooth number 15, so much dentin was removed that this wall was so thinned out, making this tooth susceptible to cracking, to splitting. You can see the canal here was obturated, number 14, obturated long as well. So there were all kinds of problems. Look at that huge periapical lucency right there associated with tooth number 15. You can see the overextended carrier right out of the distal buccal canal of tooth number 15 and into the sinus, perforating the sinus. So, my goodness. So I had discussed all of this with the patient, and patient still wanted to try to save them because she's young. Imagine having to lose suddenly 2 teeth. 2 important teeth, especially this one, number 14. It's, these are chewing teeth. These are the teeth that this patient uses to chew her food on. And imagine now suddenly having to lose both of them. So patient really wanted to try to see if we can save them for her. And that's what we did today. This was a porcelain crown here. This was a composite buildup there. These are bits and pieces of the plastic thermofill carriers that we were able to remove today. By the way, the MB2 canal of the tooth number 14 was almost near perforation. It looks like the dentist spent a lot of time trying to locate it and finally located it, but it almost perforated towards the center of the tooth. So that wall there was also thinned out. And here's the post-op, and take a look here. We addressed a lot of the problems associated with, as I said, some of the problems were not created by us and irreversible, like removal of too much dentin and near perforation of the teeth because of the excessive removal of dentin. Sinus perforation. These were things that we could not reverse, but a lot of things that we could address, we addressed. We were able to locate the missed MB2 associated with tooth number 15, remove all the plastic thermofill carriers, and again, took us a long time to remove them, remove the fiber posts, and take a look here. I forgot to mention that when the dentist prepped the palatal canal of tooth number 14, prepped it for a fiber post. Take a look here. So this fiber post also was not placed along the center of the palatal canal, and it was kind of off center. And take a look here. So the wall there was also thinned out. But we were able to address a lot of the problems that we could, and this is again the best that we could accomplish under the circumstances. We went ahead and temporized both teeth and referred the patient back to her dentist for the permanent restoration. But as I mentioned earlier to the patient and wrote a detailed report to the dentist as well, these teeth, they have very guarded prognosis. But again, this patient is very young and she didn't want to lose them. She didn't want to lose two teeth. She wanted to give him a chance to see if she could get a few more years perhaps out of him.